main directionals. So you'll see main directionals on our culture and competency models, and these main directionals mean quite a bit. So for those of you who know and have met Zarir, this has his name all over it. He leads with his personhood. When you meet him, you cannot help but come away with that impression. This follow-through has our ownership's name all over it. Long history of execution, performance, follow-through. They come from originally a farm family, so all about what happens as outcomes and impact in the end. And I added collaboration. I wouldn't call myself a master of collaboration, but I think it's incredibly important in the organizations I've worked in that enterprises see themselves as cross-pollinating and cross-collaborating. The organizations that are the strongest siloed do not survive. They instead are a bunch of small little companies with only a banner or umbrella that they share, not the actual work and outcome that they share. So here are the main directionals for the compass, and they exist because they're the foundational values, so to speak, of the airline. But the culture competency model, which I'll show you next, this is really what everyone made of Sun Country Airlines. So this is the history and everything that Sun Country Airlines has been mixed together with where we are hoping to go. So you see the main directionals there: integrity, collaboration, and follow-through. And this, even though it's wordy, apologies for that, is the culture model. This is the narrative of who we are, how we live, if you were to describe the secret sauce of Sun Country Airlines and what it is like to work here and be here. This, on the other hand, which a lot of you have also seen, hopefully you see it every day on your mouse pad, is the competency model. And this is a tool. You'll see it's very streamlined, very focused. These are the same. They're identical. One is narrative and descriptive. The other is bulleted and focused. And the bulleted and focused one is really a leadership tool for all of you to be able to say, okay, these are the things that we know we have to accomplish as a team, and how we do it. It's not just what we do, it's how we do it. So the culture competency models, if you have any questions about that, you can ask any ELT member, or please ask me. Now introductions. Introductions are really important and one of our favorite parts of the day. I'll take the liberty of first introducing myself, although I think I know most of you in the room. I'm Mia Mulrennan. I'm the Chief Talent Officer here at Sun Country Airlines, and I really have three main areas that I work within. Talent management, so making sure we have the very best here at Sun Country Airlines and that everyone is doing what they're asked to be doing in their roles. Leadership development, which is all about learning, growing, coaching people to be their very best and have their best careers here. And then finally, employment and leadership brand. We have a fantastic brand out in the marketplace and with passengers and with customers, but internally, employment and leadership brand is just as important. Those are my three main areas, and Lisa and I both lead the HR talent team. So I'll give you a little bit of my background. December 1st was my 1-year anniversary, so I'm a recent 1-year anniversary celebrator. And my background is originally from the hotel industry. So I worked in the mid-'80s for Marriott Corporation, was trained at their headquarters in Bethesda, Maryland in HR, and had finished my undergraduate degree working full-time and getting that degree 1 or 2 classes at a time at night. And that degree was in psychology and theater arts. I then was transferred to the Marriott City Center, which some of you might be familiar with. It's in downtown Minneapolis on 7th Street, connected to the City Center Mall, I guess. And worked there in HR, and then was not very long, because then I was recruited by, some of you might remember this property called the Whitney Hotel, a hotel that was owned by the Whitney family in San Francisco on the banks of the Mississippi River. I was the one-man woman of HR for that property, but it was a tiny property, only 94 rooms. The property was best known for housing VIP guests. So celebrities, politicians, and we didn't have a very good process around VIP stays. Everything was paper-based then. So I started kind of creating a process around VIP stays and had two positions at the Whitney Hotel. I was the head of HR and also the director of VIP stays. I didn't have children then, so that gives you a glimpse into how I could do that. And then I was recruited by the St. Paul Hotel. During this time, I continued taking 1 or 2 classes at a time at night at the University of Minnesota and completed my master's in psychology. At the St. Paul Hotel, I stayed there for quite a while. It was very tempting to stay in the hotel industry after working at a property like that. And I was the director of VIP stays at the St. Paul Hotel and also was the account executive for 3M Corporation. That role grew because 3M Corporation's business became 1/3 of the hotel's entire revenue. And so then I became solely the 3M account executive there. Because of that, was asked to become the general manager and hated it. I was the general manager of the St. Paul Hotel for 8 months and decided this is not for me. And for the first time in my life, became a full-time student and got my doctorate in industrial organizational psychology, applied business psychology. And after finishing that in 1999, my career took a totally different turn, and I worked for very large management consulting firms. Some of you might know PDI Korn Ferry. I worked for PDI Korn Ferry, and I'm sorry it's such a long story, but this is an important part of the story. Whenever executives applied to work at PDI Korn Ferry, I had the honor of being their lead assessor. What that meant was I got to know that person really well because they went through personality assessments, cognitive problem-solving assessments, simulations, presentations, an interview, and it was my responsibility to integrate all of that psychological cognitive information, give feedback to the organization, and then sit down with that person and give them feedback as well. Well, one year, I think it was in 2006, one of those people was Zarir Irani. He came in to apply for the IT executive position at PDI. I was his lead assessor. After the feedback session, after the assessment was over, Zarir was kind enough to hop on to LinkedIn and write my very first recommendation on LinkedIn. He began working at PDI Korn Ferry, and then we joke and say, then we never saw each other again, because I was an external consultant traveling all the time, working with travel, hospitality, tourism clients. So I had a roster of clients who were all hotel, cruise lines, et cetera, et cetera. And he worked internally. So we never saw each other again. In fact, he left PDI Korn Ferry and went on to Hallmark Business Connections, and I didn't even know he had left. Anyway, but that's my connection then years later here to Sun Country Airlines. But I stayed in external consulting for all those years and did research on customer service centricity, service orientation for many years and did consulting. And I'm so happy to be at an airline. I was telling a couple of you beforehand that what Zarir didn't know when he contacted me about 1.5 years ago is that when I was a little girl and you'd ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'd say, I'm going to be a Pan Am cabin attendant. And so I am just thrilled to be at Sun Country Airlines and be in this industry. Okay, wow, that was the longest introduction ever. I'm so sorry. But now you all know, like my background, for those of you who are thinking, who is she and why is she here? And the fun part of this is what I like. I really like fishing. I love lake fishing. My favorite, however, is light tackle ocean channel fishing. So if I ever, like run away to Marathon or Key West or a place like that. Just imagine me fishing, because that's my favorite kind of fishing. All right, now we're going to go around the room, but first what I'm going to do is introduce Karen, and Karen and Margaret will be also joining us later. They are outside consultants who helped build this day for us and facilitate it, because it would not be realistic for me to be up here all day speaking for these many days for this many hours. So they helped us build this content, and they're from an organization called Tag Leadership. The reason they were chosen is because Tag Leadership's one of your most well-known products is content called Build a Boss, which links directly with being a manager and a supervisor. So if it's okay, we'll jump into introductions. So, okay.